Hello, my name is Joseph Lee. I graduated from Berkeley in applied math and physics and with a bachelor's degree, and I also got a master's degree at the Material Science and Engineering Department at UC Irvine, and I got another master's degree in the Electrical Engineering Department at the University of Southern California. And I worked at Samsung Electromechanics as a senior engineer in the PCB packaging business for 7.5 years in South Korea. And I'm about to do a presentation on the Seagate hard disk drive reverse engineering. And basically I will discuss what are the components behind, what are the things I discovered in the hard disk drive when I did my reverse engineering in the very garage of my home in Irvine, California. This is the Seagate hard disk drive, HDD. I believe the hard disk drive will be obsolete and it will be replaced by the solid disk drive. The Samsung group is very vigorous in developing their solid state disk drive to put the hard disk drive obsolete. And basically the hard disk drive is a magnetic disk technology where they store all of the programs and data on the external magnetic hard disk. And I will show you the magnetic disk later on in this presentation. Right now, I believe that Seagate is already bought by the Samsung Electronics group in South Korea. So Western Digital is considered a competitor of Seagate or the Samsung Electronics in this area. And Western Digital they have an R&D center in Irvine, California and San Jose, and this is the Seagate external, the Seagate internal hard disk drive. First of all, I'm trying to open the back of the hard disk drive, and these screws are not very typical screws that are used in Walmart or in Target. You need some special screwdrivers called micro screwdrivers. I believe they are called micro screwdrivers, and I believe that these micro screwdrivers have some kind of ball head to remove the screws. So when I removed the screws from the back of the hard disk drive, I was able to remove the cover of the hard disk drive, but somehow I can only rotate it clockwise and counterclockwise from the center of the cover. And initially I didn't know what to do when I faced this problem. So what I did initially is that I unscrewed these 4 screws behind the hard disk drive, the internal hard disk drive I mean. And when I unscrewed these screws from the PCB board, I removed the PCB board as shown here. And I believe this PCB board have resistors, capacitors, and it has some kind of microcontrollers and maybe some DRAM memory. I am not so certain whether it has DRAM memory, but I know that this PCB board has some kind of microcontroller, which is somewhat like a mini computer in the internal hard disk drive. And underneath the PCB board I found this foam, and I believe this foam protect the electrical static discharge between the hard disk drive and the PCB board. There's some kind of electrical insulation to prevent the PCB board from being destroyed. So I'm trying to remove the back cover of the internal hard disk drive. So what I did is that I used micro screwdrivers to remove this washer behind the disk. And when I remove the screws, I have this cylindrical washer. And this is another view of the cylindrical washer lifted out of the position from the hard disk drive. And I found another washer, but I wasn't unable to remove the cover behind the internal hard disk drive. I wasn't able to remove the cover. So I did some guesswork. I did some guesswork by removing this aluminum sticker behind the internal hard disk drive, and obviously I didn't find any screws in this hole. So what I did finally, which I kind of gave up, is to use brute force to remove this cover behind the internal hard disk drive, which is a very poor way to remove it, because when I thought about the problem of removing the cover from the hard disk drive, I found that I made some guesswork, of course. I said, what if the screw is behind the label? And when I removed the label, voila, here is the screw behind the label. And when I found the screw, I used this L-shaped micro screwdriver to remove the screw. I wasn't able to remove the screw by using the other screwdriver because I wasn't able to have enough torque to remove the screw. So I used this L-shaped micro screwdriver to unscrew the screw behind this cover behind the internal hard disk drive. And of course, later on, I did remove the cover of the external hard disk drive. But before I removed that, I tried to remove this chassis right here to see what it is. I have no idea what this black chassis with these two screws are. Again, I wasn't able to unscrew it by using the conventional micro screwdriver that shapes like a line. So I use an L-shaped micro screwdriver to unscrew it, and when I did, I was able to remove this small black chassis by using some pliers, and this is what I find underneath. So when I finally removed the cover behind the internal hard disk drive, this is what I see. I see a stainless steel magnet and some kind of magnetic reader-writer spindle that reads from the magnetic disk. What I noticed from this hard disk drive is very, very similar to a conventional analog record player during the 70s or 60s. It looked like a record player, and instead of you have this record inside of this record-like disk inside the hard disk drive, you have a magnetic disk inside the hard disk drive. And when I tried to remove this stainless steel magnet on top of the magnetic reader-writer by using this micro screwdriver L-shaped torque to give it more torque, and when I did, I was able to remove the magnet as shown here, and this is the magnetic reader and writer, and this is another view of the magnet, and this is the magnetic reader and writer, and this is what I just found. This magnetic reader and writer is responsible for reading the information on the magnetic disk and also writes the information on the magnetic disk in terms of putting the programs on the hard disk drive and also the information like data and etc. But right now I'm trying to get the motor that rotates the magnetic disc. I'm trying to unscrew this, and I found this, and I punctured these aluminum stickers at various places, and I just found out that it's not really so easy to unscrew. This is a back of a hard disk drive after I removed the printed circuit board and the foam that protects the printed circuit board from the hard disk drive. Hold on. And when I now I'm trying to remove the hard disk drive inside the disk itself. I'm trying to remove the disk. So what I did is I used a plier to rotate the middle part of this hard disk drive, but I realized it wasn't a very good idea. So what I did is that I used the pliers to lift the disk itself, and when I did, it kind of warped the disk. And this is the motor that rotates the disk underneath the disk itself, and this is the motor that rotates the disk when I pull it out and unscrew it. I basically unscrew it by using these micro screwdrivers, as shown. These screws right here are clearly requiring some kind of micro screwdriver. And when I removed the motor, this is what I got. And after I finished examining the hard disk drive, I decided to destroy my hard disk drive by using a hammer. And it's really a hard disk. The reason why it's called a hard disk drive is that the disk itself is very, very hard. I'm assuming it's made of aluminum, very, very strong aluminum. I could be wrong with some magnetic coating on it, or it could be a steel plate. I am not so certain, but it's very, very hard to destroy. I thought the hard disk would be brittle and it would break like glass, because I thought that the disk itself would be destroyed when you rack it with a hammer. I thought it's very brittle, but it's extremely, extremely strong material. I have to use a hammer to make all of these dents. And yeah, as you can see, it's not very easy to destroy. It was somehow I have to bend it really. I have to apply a lot of effort to bend it or destroy it, as shown here in the presentation. And this basically concludes my presentation, and thank you.